He's taken. Yes, world number one, Magnus Carlsen, landed the ultimate checkmate in Oslo, Norway, this weekend just gone to Ella Malone. They tied the knot. Congratulations to them. And he's not just checkmating off the board, but on it too. We're taking a look back at this classic game from the World Blitz Chess Championship, just finished in New York at the end of 2024. This is the semi-final game against Jan Krzysztof Duda, an exceptional Polish legend, Blitz connoisseur, and Magnus playing with black here has no right to be breaking the rules like this on the board as well as off the board, as we saw with all the drama. Check out my other videos if you don't know that one. I'll link at the end. What do we see here? Well, knight f3 from Duda. Magnus so impressed he copies, and after the explosive c4, these are some of the more common moves for black, but Magnus doesn't pick any. He goes for pawn b6, and it just gets better because he now adopts the double fianchetto. Look at these snipers setting up the crossbones, an ominous sign for the impending doom of Duda. We now see both players castle, quick king safety fist bump, exploded out, many top grandmasters do it. We see queen c2, and Magnus finally fights for the centre with the advance of the c pawn. Duda takes the space, thank you very much. Now e6, d6 looking common. Does Magnus do it? No, he plays the outlandish pawn to b5, but actually it's a very good move. Top move of Stock Barnacle, because if you capture, the d pawn's critically weak. It's not the best move. So Duda just develops the knight, but before it can get too comfortable, Magnus kicks it. It drops all the way back, and then he goes d6 simply to set up the connect 4, wins himself a lovely pair of dungarees given to him by his best friend Emil Sutovsky. What a lucky guy. We now see e4. Duda fights back with the camel toe. e6 from Magnus, very standard, but now it gets a bit weird because after both of these cannons enter the game, bishop f4, we don't see takes on d5. I mean, everyone and his dog is playing that pawn structure, but instead Magnus goes a5. Duda loves it, copies him. Not the best, but this is Blitz chess. You can see the times, by the way. Duda almost a minute down now. They start with 3 minutes plus get some seconds back per move. Some people call that excrement, most call it increment. And now Magnus closes the center. This is what I mean about the unusual way of playing, right? Not opening the file. Kicks back the bishop. White's now marginally better. You can see the white pieces just slightly freer. You know, this bishop's a bit dead, but that's why bishop c8. Yes, you temporarily put everything on the Etienne back row, but you've got time to maneuver here. It's a closed pawn structure, especially after b3. I mean, the land mass is frozen. It's like the depth of the Antarctic winter, but there's a glimmer of life over this side of the board. Can the players exploit it? Magnus plays the super weird rook a7, whispers a mini, do you even rook lift? I mean, it's only a tiny rook lift. Why is he not developing minor pieces? Well, after bishop b2, there's a weird looking move, you know, biting on granite. Now Magnus swings the rook, stacks the two towers, Tolkien is proud, and after h3, only now does he develop the knight into the game. It's good chess. Knight e3, and both players just maneuver the hell out of this position, right? Closed structure. How are you going to find a chink in the armor? They're feeling each other out, and more importantly, trying to burn that clock. Magnus doing it like a mushroom. So the knight's on the edge of the board. Normally a boo-boo, but here it's justified. You're just seeing what the opponent does. Don't go g4. Give a mammoth square here. So Duda stacks his rooks. Knight d to f6. Rook f1 now played. King h8. Both players take a timeout with the monarchs. And now Magnus completely forgets which way his pieces are supposed to move. But it's all in aid of pushing the f-pawn one day. Now Duda's so impressed, he starts maneuvering. Anyone for a knight maneuver, he whispers in a nerdy chess notation joke. And after rook f8, preparing the advance of the f-pawn, Duda could definitely strike with his. He doesn't do it. Something about it he doesn't like. Black is fine, so is white. Different game, this is how it could go. Eventually anyway, black gets an F break as well. This is something of the line, this kind of thing, fine. Different game, different gravy. The show goes on. Duda didn't do it. He decides instead to go bishop f3 and just carrying on the maneuvering thing, but he's now a minute and 15 seconds down. That's significant in Blitz. So the knight drops back. Huge traffic jam there. It's like gridlocked New York, but Magnus, he's a man with a plan. After knight d3, he begins this epic pony rotation with knight h6. This is why he practices. We get bishop c1, not best apparently, but okay, Duda's playing on seconds. Magnus tucks the other knight back. How can you get away with this kind of thing? Well, the closed structure is the key here. You can play with the pieces and then strike with this pawn push. It's super fantastic chess. Mr. Fantastic, world number one himself, Magnus Carlsen, banging down the door, and with f4 a threat here, you have to counter. Duda does it, but then it allows e4, and it's a monumental pawn. Passed, protected, tying up the white pieces, the d4 square under control. You could play it straight away. That's why knight f6 given the miss, but not such a bad move. This rook comes to the g file, and Duda's anticipating the big pressure here. Magnus starts by sidelining a second pony. Queen d1 now played, x-ray attacking it, rook g8's played, bishop f1, and after queen e8, bringing that one into the attack, nudging onto the light squares, we see Duda go really wrong here, but it's very tough on literally seconds, you know, not holding anything against him. Now, one of the best defensive approaches is rook e1, and you're simply preparing to cover the g-pawn. Here's a sample line. You attack the knight, so you have to take a timeout and defend it here, and then you can go rook g2, and if the rook's double, you can bring this one just in time. Black's better, but white is clinging on. You've maneuvered the pieces in the right order. How many times have I said maneuver? Well done if you can even spell that word without looking it up. And now coming back here, that wasn't played, you know, rook e1, it was missed. We see rook c2, but now bishop d4, great move, and we see again a mistake. Knight h1 technically best, but bishop b2 played, saying you can't take on e3, your bishop's pinned to your king, but you can take here, rook recaptures, and what are you doing about the double stack? How are you defending this pawn here? Yes, you can go knight h1, only way to actually legally defend it for the third time, but then you run into this big problem. Knight takes on f4 and the whole house is just collapsing, right? You win a rook, and if you don't take the knight, well, obviously it's absolutely horrendous. You know, you can drop back or whatever. It's just good for black, of course. So in the game, that's why Duda desperately tries this g4 move, but look at this. The bar has an absolute meltdown. Black now killing it. Many good moves, you know, queen e7 is even one apparently. You can't actually take, there's a pin, blah, 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 come on to the dark squares. But Magnus chops up the free pawn, and white's just got nothing. We see queen c1 defending the rook, x-raying the knight. Magnus centralizes, monster black widow spider, sprawling in every direction. The king gets out of dodge, but now takes on g4, and everything just goes into the blender. Taken, 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 gone. And how you defend the king? There are huge problems, but this has got to be the most Magnus move ever, right? You're attacking the king, you want to checkmate, surely you push the pawn or something, I don't know, but he plays queen c3. Bro just loves himself an endgame, wants to grind deep into one, sadistic, twist the knife in the winning position. Duda dodges it with queen d1. If you had taken, by the way, well, not only would you have to contend with this passed pawn, but also this passed pawn coming very fast, and the king is cut. So it was hopeless. Magnus now swings over. He's threatening mate in one. Duda blocks this way. What if he'd gone bishop e2, you know, covering the mating threat? This one covers this one. Well, now the problem is the pieces are overloaded. Queen can't take or you checkmate. Rook can't take or you checkmate like this. So you'd still be winning a bishop. Duda does this, but bang, still you win a bishop. The rook can't take here or you checkmate in one. Now Duda tries something finally. Bang, he shouts Duda looks like a lady, but it's no good. Magnus just blocks with the rook, and that was a resignation. Why? You're not long for this world. Here's one sample line, right? Here's how the game could have played out. You can even give the queen just to march in the king. This is a common way it could have finished. You very often see this sort of thing, and the thing about top grandmasters, they just love to checkmate using the knight and bishop. This is just a sample, of course, but it's very likely it would have gone in this direction. Magnus loves to finish with a flurry, chase the king all the way into the corner, do the easiest checkmate in the world, and finish it with the bishop on move 93. Hope you enjoyed this game. This was the final position, and have a look at the video on screen, or videos, if you want to see more of the craziness that occurred in this tournament. Thanks a lot and see you soon. Cheers.